Inside the world's most dangerous women's prisons. I never thought my sister would die for a pack of cigarettes. But there she was, Maya, 23 years old, lying on the concrete floor of cell block D with blood pooling around her head like a dark halo. And somewhere in the guard tower above us, I knew they were counting money. If you're watching this, please hit that subscribe button right now. Like this video and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, because what I'm about to share will shake you to your core. You need to hear this. The world needs to know. My name is Lena Torres, and this is the story of how I survived Iron Gate Women's Correctional, the most dangerous prison you've never heard of. This is the story of how I lost everything, learned the truth about who really runs these walls, and discovered that sometimes the only way out is through the darkest door you can imagine. It started 3 years ago in Dallas, Texas. I was working double shifts at a diner on 4th Street, barely making rent on our tiny apartment. Maya was in college, smart, beautiful, full of dreams. She wanted to be a nurse. She wanted to help people. But our mom got sick. The bills piled up like mountains we couldn't climb, and one night, Maya made a choice that destroyed both our lives. She got involved with a guy named Trent. He seemed nice at first, drove a clean car, always had money, treated her like a princess. But Trent was a dealer. And when the cops raided his apartment, Maya was there. They found 3 kilos of something she swore she didn't know about, packed in a bag with her fingerprints all over it. She got 8 years. I got desperate. 2 months after Maya went in, I tried to visit her. They said she was in solitary, wouldn't tell me why. The next time I came, they said she'd been in a fight. The time after that, they wouldn't let me see her at all. I could hear her screaming my name from somewhere deep inside that building, but the guards just smiled and closed the door. That's when I knew something was wrong. Really wrong. So I did something stupid. I made a scene. I yelled. I pushed a guard. And just like that, I became inmate 47392, sentenced to 18 months for assault on an officer. They sent me to Iron Gate, the same prison holding Maya. The first thing you notice about Iron Gate isn't the razor wire or the guard towers or even the smell. Though God, the smell is awful, like sweat and rust and something rotten you can't quite name. No, the first thing you notice is the silence. Not quiet. Silence. The kind that presses against your ears and makes your heart beat too loud. The kind that tells you everyone here has learned that screaming doesn't help. They processed me on a Tuesday morning. Strip search, uniform, number. A woman with dead eyes and scarred hands shoved a rolled-up mattress into my arms and pointed down a hallway that seemed to stretch into forever. "Cell block D," she said. "Don't make trouble. Don't make friends. Don't make noise." I wanted to ask about Maya. I wanted to demand answers. But something in that woman's eyes stopped me. A warning, maybe, or just the last shred of kindness she had left. I walked. The cells were packed. 3 women to a space meant for one. Some of them looked at me with empty stares. Others looked at me like I was food. I kept my head down and my mouth shut, just like I'd been told. Until I heard her voice. "Lena?" I turned so fast I nearly dropped the mattress. And there she was, standing in the doorway of a cell at the end of the block. Maya, my sister, my whole heart walking around outside my body. But she looked different, thinner, harder. A bruise spread across her cheekbone like spilled ink, and her eyes, those bright, hopeful eyes, were dim, guarded, afraid. "Maya," I breathed, and I ran to her. She grabbed my arm before I could hug her, her fingers digging in hard. "What are you doing here?" she hissed. "Lena, what did you do?" "I came for you," I said. "I came to get you out." She laughed, but there was no joy in it, just bitterness, just pain. Get me out? Lena, you don't get out of Iron Gate. You survive it. Maybe, if you're lucky. What are you talking about? She glanced over her shoulder, then pulled me closer. This place isn't what you think. The guards, they're not here to keep order. They're here to profit. They make bets, Lena, on us, on who gets hurt, who fights, who dies. They set it up, they encourage it, and they cash in. My blood went cold. That's insane. That can't be real. It's real, Maya said, and her voice cracked. I've seen it. I've lived it. And if you're here, you're in it now too. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay on my thin mattress in a cell with 2 other women, one who snored like a freight train and another who cried quietly into her pillow. And I stared at the ceiling. Maya's words echoed in my head. They make bets on us. I thought about the guard who'd smiled when I asked about Maya. I thought about the woman at intake who'd warned me not to make trouble. I thought about the silence that hung over this place like a shroud, and I started to understand. Iron Gate wasn't a prison, it was an arena, and we were the show. The next morning, I found out how the game worked. Breakfast was chaos. Hundreds of women crammed into a dining hall, fighting over trays of food that looked like it had been scraped off the bottom of a trash can. I stood in line, trying to keep my head down, when someone shoved me from behind. I stumbled forward, catching myself on the edge of a table. A woman with a shaved head and tattoos crawling up her neck leaned in close, her breath hot against my ear. "You're the new girl," she said. "Maya's sister." I straightened, trying to look braver than I felt. "Yeah. So?" She grinned, showing teeth filed to points. "So you just became real interesting to some people. Word is, there's already money on you." "Money?" "The guards. They bet on everything. How long you last, if you fight, if you break, if you die." She laughed, low and cruel. "You're fresh meat, sweetheart, and fresh meat always draws a crowd." Before I could respond, she grabbed my tray and dumped it on the floor. Food splattered everywhere. The hall went quiet. Every eye turned toward us. And up in the guard tower, I saw him. A man with a clipboard and a smirk, watching us like we were animals in a cage. "Fight back," the woman whispered. "Or don't. Either way, someone's getting paid." My heart pounded. My fists clenched. Every instinct screamed at me to swing, to defend myself, to prove I wasn't weak. But I thought of Maya. I thought of her bruised face and dead eyes. I thought of what she'd said. They set it up. They encourage it. And they cash in. So I didn't fight. I bent down, picked up my tray, and walked away. The woman spat at my feet. The crowd murmured. And up in the tower, the guard with the clipboard frowned. I'd just cost him money. That afternoon, Maya found me in the yard. "You did good this morning," she said, sitting beside me on a bench that looked like it might collapse at any moment. "Natasha's dangerous. She's killed 2 women in here. If you'd fought her, you'd be in the infirmary right now. Or worse." "Who is she?" "The guard's favorite. They give her extra food, extra privileges, as long as she keeps the violence going. She's their top earner." Maya's voice was flat, like she was reciting facts instead of horrors. "This whole place runs on blood, Lena. The guards make thousands betting on us. The warden takes a cut, and we're stuck in the middle, tearing each other apart for their entertainment." I felt sick. How is this allowed? How does no one know? "People know," Maya said. "They just don't care. We're criminals. Society threw us away. What happens to us doesn't matter." "It matters to me." She looked at me then, really looked at me. And for a moment, I saw the sister I used to know, the one who believed in goodness, the one who had hope. "Then we have to be careful," she said. "Because if they think you're trouble, they'll make an example of you. And trust me, Lena, you don't want to be an example." But being careful wasn't enough. 3 days later, they came for Maya. I was in my cell when I heard the commotion, shouting, The sound of boots on concrete, Maya's voice screaming my name. I ran to the bars, pressing my face against the cold metal, and I saw them dragging her down the hallway. "Maya!" I yelled. "Let her go!" One of the guards turned. It was the man from the tower, the one with the clipboard. He walked toward me, slow and deliberate, and when he reached my cell, he smiled. "Your sister's got a big mouth," he said. "Talks too much about things she shouldn't. We're gonna teach her to be quiet." "Where are you taking her?" "Solitary, or maybe the box. Depends on how much she fights." He leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "You want to see her again? You play the game. You make it interesting. You give the people what they want." "I won't," I said, my voice shaking with rage. "I won't be part of this." He laughed. "You already are, sweetheart. The only question is whether you win or lose." He walked away, and I watched them drag Maya into the darkness. I didn't see her for a week. When she finally came back, she was different, broken. She wouldn't talk about what they'd done to her, wouldn't look me in the eye, just curled up on her bunk and stared at the wall. And I knew with every fiber of my being that I couldn't let this stand. I was going to bring this place down, even if it killed me. This is the end of part 1. The walls of Iron Gate hold more than prisoners. They hold secrets. And me, Lena Torres, is about to uncover the truth that could destroy everything, or set them all free. Part 2 is coming next, and you won't believe what happens. Stay with me. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. But in Iron Gate, revenge was the only thing keeping me warm. I spent the next 2 weeks watching, learning, understanding how this twisted machine worked, and what I discovered made my blood boil. The guards had a system. Every Friday night, they'd gather in the warden's office. I could see the lights on from the yard, hear the laughter echoing through the vents. They'd place their bets for the following week. Who would fight? Who would break? Who would die? And then they'd make it happen. Extra privileges to the violent ones. Rumors planted like seeds. Contraband slipped into the right hands. They orchestrated everything, turning us into puppets dancing on strings made of fear and desperation. But I found their weakness. His name was Officer Marcus Webb. Young, new, and unlike the others, he still had something resembling a conscience. I'd seen him flinch when Natasha beat another woman unconscious, seen him look away when they dragged someone to solitary, seen the guilt eating him alive. He was my way in. I cornered him in the library on a Thursday afternoon. The library was a joke. 50 books, most of them falling apart, in a room that smelled like mold and broken dreams. But it was quiet. Private. "Officer Webb," I said, keeping my voice low. He jumped, his hand going to his belt. "Torres, you shouldn't be talking to me. I need your help. I can't help you. I can't help anyone." He started to walk away. "They killed someone last week," I said, and he froze. "Sandra Reeves, cell block C. They said it was suicide, but I saw the bruises. I saw what they did to her before she died. And I know you saw it too." His jaw clenched. His hands shook. "You don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, I do. And so do you." I stepped closer. "How much longer can you live with this? How many more women have to die before you do something?" "What do you want from me?" His voice cracked. "Proof," I said. "Records, documents, anything that shows what's really happening here. Help me expose them, and we can end this." He laughed bitterly. "You think anyone cares? You think the world is going to listen to a bunch of criminals? They'll listen to you. You're one of them. You have access. You have credibility." I grabbed his arm. "Please. My sister is dying in here. We're all dying. You're the only one who can help us." For a long moment, he said nothing. Just stared at me with eyes full of pain and fear and something that might have been hope. Finally, he nodded. "I'll see what I can do. But if I get caught—" "You won't," I promised, even though I had no idea if that was true. 3 days later, Webb slipped me a folded piece of paper during breakfast. I palmed it quickly, hiding it in my sleeve until I could get back to my cell. It was a photocopy of a ledger. Names, dates, amounts. Bets placed on inmates, tracking who fought, who got hurt, who died. And at the bottom, a signature. Warden Catherine Hollis. She wasn't just allowing it. She was running it. My hands trembled as I stared at the page. This was it. This was the evidence I needed. But evidence was useless locked inside these walls. I needed to get it out. "You're insane," Maya said when I told her the plan. "Even if you get outside, even if someone sees it, they'll bury it. They'll bury you." "Maybe," I said, "but maybe not. And I'd rather die trying than live like this." She closed her eyes, and a tear slipped down her cheek. "I can't lose you, Lena. You're all I have." "Then help me," I whispered. "Help me fight back." She was silent for a long time. Then she opened her eyes, and I saw something I hadn't seen in months. Fire. "Okay," she said. "What do you need?" The plan was simple, desperate, probably suicidal, but it was all we had. There was a reporter, Jessica Chen from the Dallas Tribune, who'd been trying to get into Iron Gate for years. She'd written articles about prison conditions, filed requests with the warden, made noise about reform. The guards hated her, which meant she was perfect. Webb had her contact information. He'd smuggled out messages before for inmates with families, so he knew how to do it without getting caught. All I needed was to get the ledger to him, and he'd get it to Chen. But there was a problem. The warden had eyes everywhere. Cameras, informants, guards loyal to her and her twisted empire. If she suspected anything, if she caught even a whisper of what we were planning, we were dead. So we created a distraction. A big one. Friday night. Bet night. Maya and I spread the word through the prison like wildfire. There was going to be a fight. The biggest fight Iron Gate had ever seen. Cell Block D versus Cell Block C. A riot, practically. The guards would love it. They'd bet thousands. And while they were watching the chaos, Webb would slip out the back with the ledger. "Are you sure about this?" Webb asked me the night before. His face was pale, his hands shaking. "No," I admitted, "but it's the only shot we have." He nodded slowly. "If this works, if Chen gets that ledger and exposes this place, you're a hero." "I'm not a hero," I said. "I'm just a sister who's tired of watching people suffer." The next night, all hell broke loose. It started in the dining hall. Someone threw a tray. Someone else threw a punch. And then it was chaos. Women screaming, guards shouting, alarms blaring. Cell Block D charged Cell Block C like armies colliding on a battlefield. I stayed on the edges, watching, waiting. Maya was in the thick of it, protecting the women who were too weak to fight, making sure no one actually got killed. She was incredible. Fierce. The sister I remembered. And then I saw her. Natasha. She was coming straight for Maya, a shiv made from a sharpened toothbrush gleaming in her hand. The guards weren't stopping her. They were cheering, betting, laughing. "Maya!" I screamed. But the noise swallowed my voice. Natasha lunged. Maya turned. And for one horrible moment, I thought I was going to watch my sister die. But Maya was faster. She grabbed Natasha's wrist, twisted it, and slammed her against the wall. The shiv clattered to the floor. The crowd went silent. "I'm done being your puppet," Maya said, her voice carrying across the hall. "We're all done." And then she looked up at the guard tower, right at the man with the clipboard, and she smiled. "You lose," she said. The riot lasted 20 minutes before the guards finally shut it down. Tear gas, batons, solitary cells filled to bursting. But in the chaos, Webb had slipped out unnoticed. The ledger was gone. I found out later that he'd driven straight to Chen's apartment, handed her the evidence, and told her everything. She published the story the next morning. Iron Gate Women's Correctional, a prison built on blood money. The headline spread like wildfire. News vans surrounded the prison. Lawyers filed lawsuits. The FBI launched an investigation. And 3 days later, Warden Catherine Hollis was arrested. They released me and Maya 2 weeks after that. Our sentences were overturned due to the corruption. We walked out of Iron Gate together, blinking in the sunlight like we'd forgotten what it felt like. Chen was waiting for us outside the gates. "You did it," she said, shaking my hand. "You exposed them. You brought them down." "We all did," I said, looking back at the prison, at the women still inside, the ones who couldn't get out as easily as we did. "But the fight isn't over." "No," Chen agreed. "It's not. But you started something, Lena. You gave people hope. And that's more powerful than any prison wall." Maya and I rebuilt our lives slowly. She went back to school. I started working with Chen, investigating other prisons, other systems built on suffering. We gave voices to the voiceless. We shined light in dark places. And we never forgot where we came from. But here's the twist you didn't see coming. 6 months after we got out, I received a letter. No return address. Just a single piece of paper inside. It was from Webb. "Lena, I did what you asked. I got you out. But there's something you need to know. The ledger I gave Chen, it wasn't the only one. There are others. Bigger ones. Iron Gate wasn't the only prison in the system. This goes deeper than you think. Deeper than I thought. And they know you're the one who exposed it. Be careful. Trust no one. And if you want the truth, look for the woman in the red coat. She'll find you." I showed the letter to Maya. Her face went pale. "What does this mean?" she whispered. "It means we're not done," I said. "It means this is just the beginning." 2 days later, I saw her. A woman in a red coat standing across the street from our apartment. She didn't wave, didn't move, just watched. And when our eyes met, she smiled. Then she turned and walked away, disappearing into the crowd. I don't know who she is. I don't know what she wants. But I know this. The fight for justice is never really over. There are always more walls to break down, more truths to uncover, more people who need someone to stand up for them. And I'll be ready. Because I learned something in Iron Gate, something they can never take away from me. Sometimes the only way to be free is to fight for it, even if it costs you everything, even if the battle never ends. My name is Lena Torres, and this is my story. If this story moved you, if it made you think, if it made you feel, hit that subscribe button. Like this video. Comment below and tell me where you're watching from, because your voice matters. Share this story. Let the world know that behind every prison wall, there are human beings who deserve dignity, justice, and hope. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring. And remember, the truth will always find a way out. The end. See you on the next one. Bye.